What's good, Grassroots World? I'm Chris Logan,
I'm Ernie Barber.
and we are the Flagrant 2. Coach, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, just got back from Dallas this last weekend, played in Plano, went 4-0, beat the number one NXT team, had a good weekend. So I think we figured some stuff out, and I think that it's going to become where a lot of teams don't want to play us. So hopefully we're headed in the right direction. So
Hey, man, that's typical rogue basketball. I've been around long enough to know the success that you guys have had from an independent standpoint,
yeah,
and not just because we're on this together. I would be saying this no matter what, and was saying it before we ever did this. That the rogue program is simply one of the better programs in Oklahoma, has been for the last so many years. Evident with a big commitment today.
yeah,
The only player in the 2025 class to go to a P4, P4 now. I say Power 5, but it's P4 or high major school. So in Tate Sage committing to the University of Iowa. So that's big time. I mean,
yeah, that is. I'm excited for him. I'm real excited
big time for the state, big time for you guys' program. But either way, congratulations to him. Well deserved, and we'll see what how that all shakes out. So, obviously it's been 3 weeks or so since we did this. So the AAU season is now, it's been going on.
We're in the thick of it now.
Thick of it. I know I've watched a bunch of EYBL. I've watched teams from every circuit because I've been to some mixed events where they're all at. I obviously watched some EYBL in their first session out in Arizona. I've tried to watch any kid we got from Oklahoma. If they're out somewhere, I'm trying to watch that circuit, obviously.
Of course.
Whether it's remote or in person, whatever I can do, whatever it fits in the schedule, we do. And I know you guys have been out and about. So
we started with the circuit, and then we did 2 Next Pro events, and we're basically off next weekend. Then we go to Tulsa, and then we go to Wichita for live. So that's kind of what the foreseeing future is for our guys. And but yeah, we're heading in the right direction. What did you see? What's your feedback on some of the EYBL events that you've watched from?
I would probably start out and just say I would bring up that Made Hoops event because it pitted the 2 shoe teams of Oklahoma currently. If we're considering one out of Puma and obviously the one out of Nike and EYBL in the Legends and Southern Ties. So it was nice to see that. Really, good event. Those games kind of, obviously I'm gonna be honest, they carried that thing, but you know how I am. I'm gonna tell the truth. But either way, it was great for the state, and it was good to see these teams finally get to match up. And obviously, 17s Legends won, 16s Southern Ties won, but at the time, people were a little surprised, but it really looks like that Southern Ties 16 team is really good.
That's what I hear. That's what I'm reading
so far. They haven't lost. So,
and 10-0, I think, and going in. I don't know. They may be more now because I think before they went into last weekend, they were 10-0. That's what I heard or read. I think.
Yes, and an Okie bomb was dropped. I will just say, pay attention to the games this weekend. You will see, possibly a new recruit, and
for sure.
And that's a big time recruit. So that could change. That can change the way people feel. But anyways, those matchups were great. There was some other good matchups involved. I got to give credit to Southern Assault Texoma. Their 17s had a big win, against Legends, and that's good for a new program anytime you can. So I just thought that was to kick it off, watching some different circuits come together and be able to play each other. Saw some really good things. We'll get into some individual players here in a minute, but just wanted to say team-wise, I was impressed with some of those guys. Good. And obviously you can see some of the growth. And obviously we always talk about it like we have every time we've ever done this show, the differences in some of these guys' confidence level in the spring and summer versus where they're at in their school ball. So, and I know you can attest to that.
Yeah, no, I think they get out of their roles in high school and can kind of step out and do some things. I think there's a little more freedom in spring and summer ball, AAU ball, whatever you want to call it, which is good for boys. And I think the recruiting process going through live period and being able to play, different maybe a little different than what their roles are. Like I said, in high school, allows them to step out, and coaches can see them in a different light and get recruited a little bit differently. And I think that's good for them. I looking back on it, I had a bunch of people message me because of that Made Hoops event. Why aren't you guys here? What, this, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I made the schedule back in January. Otherwise, I would have absolutely wanted to be there, have an opportunity to play some of those teams. People always are saying, we're not scared of anybody. I don't. It's just basketball. It's not like I'm going to get stabbed or anything. I'm not scared for us to play anybody.
Yeah.
Whether we win or lose, we're going to be competitive. I don't care who we play. But I wish I would have signed up for that, because I think it was cool for Oklahoma. It would have been really cool to be here and just witness it, be a part of it, watch the games, the coverage. There was a lot of coverage on it on the internet, on X, and everything else, and the videos. And one of the things I've noticed this year, and you probably noticed this as well, being at these events, is there's a lot more video being taken at these events this year, where obviously you've always done it, but prior, you were kind of the first to kind of do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Showing a lot of and now you have all these video, these people popping up, showing videos and selling them or following these teams around, which I think is good. It gives more exposure to the boys. It blows it up a little bit and helps. So that's what this is about, should be about.
I think there's a lot of good content creators, a lot of great videographers out there that put out some excellent, those guys make literal, like I say, motion pictures with their basketball stuff. I just try to give you live. I try to give it to you like as it's happening, but that's kind of where that's my niche in this thing is. And
the guy's background's a lot more. You're not just shooting a video. What this, say Jock Mitchell, what he's done for the last 3 or 4 years, how he's developed, who he plays for, what he did in the state tournament, his averages, what his strengths are. You've kind of done all that. So you're way beyond the videography.
No, it's just different, but it's all needed. It's all needed in this day and age. You need all that stuff. I think that stuff has its purpose and does a great job. It does a great job of promotion. Plus, I'm gonna be honest, the kids love that stuff. They love the videos on IG.
And then put it on Instagram and all that.
All that stuff is great. This is 2025. This is what it is. I just do a totally different thing. I mean, it's just a scouting thing, but I do try to. I'm never going to be a videographer. That's not my background. I'm a scout that just does the media stuff because I feel like it's my best way to get you representation of that player as fast as I can while it's happening. Like that's kind of what I do. And I felt like that's just, we all are in our own lane. We all do what we do. And I feel like that Okie ball has changed basketball, in my opinion, in Oklahoma. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or say I'm this, that, and the other, but I truly believe, and I think others have seen, it's different now. There's a lot of people that want to be involved in basketball that never were before, and that's fine because it just puts more eyes and exposure onto the game. So I'm all for that. I'm definitely all for that, and love seeing it. So it's just different things, but obviously. The more exposure and we can get these kids out there to be seen, the better. So
that's why we do this. No reason.
But what's it called? What was I going to say? The other thing is when it comes to that event, those games were as crowded. The Southern Ties and Legends games.
Yeah, that's what I saw. It was packed.
That atmosphere was as good as it's been in AAU in a long time. I mean, I know there was guys there like John Rope. Like there's guys that were around that have been around for a while, and they were saying the same thing. Maybe some of them were saying maybe back to the Buddy Buckets, Team Griffin days or something like that. But it was really nice. I would have loved to have seen, and I'm gonna be honest, like the prime Trae Young 17 teams versus the Team Griffin 17s.
Yeah.
We never really got to see that.
Yeah, that would have been epic.
I always say we missed out on that opportunity, but we got what we got now, and it made for good because, like I said, you had the 17s Legends won, the 16 Southern Ties, and then that 15 Legends team. I'm gonna tell you right now, they blew the doors off every team.
That's what I was reading. I mean, some of the highlights from that, and just some of the feedback from that game was pretty everyone was pretty excited about and the future of that team and some of
Yeah,
those players.
they're like I said, they're one of the most exciting teams. I mean, you want to watch 10 dunks a game, it's them and their highlight dunks, and they got the guys that can do it. But they
Yeah,
play fun. Coach Dorian Williams, his Millwood team plays like that.
sure.
They get out and run. They
Yep.
defend you. They
Yep.
take 94 feet. They turn the ball over. They get out and run. It's a fun style to watch, and he's got the right
Yep.
personnel, kids that fit what he.
That's what everybody wants to see too. I mean, they want to see blocks, they want to see dunks, they want to see guys get out and transition and make plays. So
I think a lot of teams could say we're one big guy away from being good. I think that 15U team is one big guy away from winning Peach Jam. Like, I think
yeah.
they could win. As far as almost a purely Oklahoma team, because they pretty much are that 15. Like, they got a chance, to do some special things as they go forward and mature and. But you always, when you're in the EYBL, you
Yep.
got to have a big guy. And I mean,
no, that's a requirement.
7, you need a big guy,
Yep.
real big that can
You got
run.
to have a guy that's 6'10", 6'11", somewhere in there.
And to fit his team style, it's got to be someone that can run the floor at that size. So it's got to be
Rim runner.
Yeah, it's got to be a unicorn rim runner that can run and hang with those guys. So
Yeah.
they're a really fun squad to watch. Obviously, I'll highlight a couple of their guys because I had guys that I just think have been big time stock risers since the spring sessions have started, and they've got a couple guys. One just picked up an offer from University of Nebraska yesterday.
Yep, I saw that.
Washington. So out of McAllister High School, he's about 6'2". Might be the best athlete you've ever seen if you lay eyes on this kid. I mean,
That's a lot. That's saying something right there.
He's got the Russell Westbrook pop from when Russ was young gun.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that type of pop in him. And used to be middle school, like he was a dunker and it's like, oh, he's an athlete, but he is developing the perimeter game. His jump shot was on at the tournaments that I went to and saw. So it's great to see the development in the game. If he can keep building that together, he's 100% a Division I athlete regardless. So it's just as he continues to work on his ball skills and do some things that's going to be asked for him at the next level to put with that athleticism, he's a special talent. But I've been saying now for 2 years that 2028 class was going to have some guys.
You have. I remember when we first did the first podcast,
we
were talking about 25s, and you mentioned the 20. You went all the way back to the 2028, saying that team may be the most.
I think the 26s and the 28s, I've said, might have the most Division I ready kids or kids that go Division I. And when I say that, we've talked about it a million times. They may have to go another level first before they get there, but ultimately they'll end up there. Yeah, kind of like that 2021 class where we talked about it on our last pod, where JJ White's now at Baylor and some things like that. And it works its way out. I mean, the 24 class, Isaac Williams just signed with Baylor, and he was at A&M Corpus Christi, an Oklahoma City kid. So you just sometimes got to go a little bit of a different route, but you continue to get better and better, and you have your chances to continue to move up. But anyways, Rodney Washington to me has been a big time stock riser. I had him on the list before he ever got the offer from Nebraska. So we're going to talk about him regardless. Jarrell Copeland out of Edmond North, who to me, just has all the tools at 6'5.5", might be pushing 6'6", lefty, a big time off guard prospect in this state that to me is the ceiling is unlimited. And he's just scratching the surface of how good he's been. But he's blown me away in the spring session.
So who's taking the Edmond North job? Speaking of Edmond North,
well, I mean, it hasn't been taken yet, but I think that Corbin Byford.
That's what I figured. I figured Coach Byford.
He's leading the pack. I'm assuming.
It makes sense.
I haven't seen an official announcement, but I would imagine that he would be the lead guy in that.
That's what I would thought, but I was just curious as to what you thought of that. But back to the play,
so that'll be interesting. All kinds of coaching changes have happened.
Man, there's so many. There's almost twice as many as I thought there were going to be. I mean, everybody knew of the main ones.
But like Norman North, I mean that's kind of a surprise to some. Not if you kind of knew, Kellen McCoy going to coach the girls and get to coach his daughter. That's a very
I don't blame him for that. That's a great opportunity.
Special opportunity for him and his daughter and Norman North program because they get to keep Kellen there. No one knows the school better than he does.
Yeah,
he's going to do a great job there. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in and for their boys coach. I got a name, but I don't want to give that name right now because he would be mad at me. So he doesn't want his name out there until he's signed on the dotted line. So I'm gonna let him sign first before we talk about that on here. But Jarrell Copeland, obviously, David Douglas. David Douglas is a certified Division I point guard in the 2028 class. I talk about him a million times. So I was trying to say some risers. He's not really a riser to
No,
me.
he's been there, but yeah, while you were on the class,
Been there and done that. But since we're talking about that 15 Legends team, you got to mention him, Rodney. I've been very and not surprised because I talked about him this season. I love Garrett Smith out of Mustang. Kid has only been playing basketball for like 2 years. He's like 6'7", runs the floor and dunks everything. And I mean violently dunks it. He's going to be a special kid in this state.
Yeah, he is.
I think with only 2 years under his belt, and then you got Coach Brandon Jackson taking over Mustang.
Yeah, that's what's going to be a big influence on him. I think Brandon's going to do a fantastic job at Mustang. I don't think they could have found a better coach for that program.
And let me tell you right now, they got some athletes because they got a bunch of kids that moved over there. They got some shooting.
They got good coaching too. I know that they've got a couple guys that are going to join him that are former head coaches to be his assistants. So that'll be good.
A good staff for sure. That staff should be loaded.
Yeah.
So they got some guys. So that's that 15 Legends team. I've also liked what Sion Wilborn's done, the point guard for him, PC West.
Yep.
I thought he's doing a great job when he gets in there for them. Just making plays. It's what he does. He's a playmaker. Yep. He's a true point guard. So
yes, he is.
I like when he gets in there and the team gets going. They're a fun bunch. They're going to be really exciting to watch. Looking at Southern Ties, we got to point out their 16s and guys that I think have just this kid to me is just tearing it up. Nate Lyon out of South Central Prep for them, the 16U point guard for Southern Ties, been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I mean, some call him Baby Luca, call him what you want. I call him a hooper. That kid can play. He can flat out do some things. He's got some of the best offensive arsenal I've ever seen. At his age, just some of the stuff he gets off, it's extremely advanced in the stuff that he's learned.
His game's matured.
Yes, he's a really good player. He's about 6'2.5" now. He's grown some. I look for him to be a big time player in the state of Oklahoma for South Central Prep, but wherever he's at, that kid can go. I mean, he's crafty. Just some of the stuff he does, the head fakes, I've put it on Twitter, some of the ball fakes, some of the stuff he does off one leg, is just creative and it's effective.
It's very Luka-esque. Yeah, that's
true. I can see why they call him that. I like whenever you get a nickname of somebody like that, it means you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah, you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
I love his game, but obviously for that team, Gabe Osborne, Markel Robinson, two guys that I just mentioned are going to Mustang to join Coach Brandon Jackson. He had them at PCO. I mean, Gabe Osborne is one of the best athletes in Oklahoma. He's got Division I offers in football. He's a Division I basketball player. He's a special kid. Dominated some of the games I watched with him. He can get anywhere he wants on the floor, and defensively, he's a headache.
Certainly going to be a name to watch, or the team to watch going into the playoffs this next year.
Yeah, and then they got a kid I really like, JJ Wise. He came from Arkansas. He's one of the best catch and shoot guys I've seen all summer long in any grade. So 6'3" kid. I think he has a Division I offer from Arkansas Pine Bluff already. I really got my first glimpse of him over the last couple of weeks, and I love him. I think he's a stud. So they did a good job with that 16. Coach John White did a great job.
6'3", good player. Probably may even grow a little bit more. So that's some potential there.
Catch and shoot.
Catch and shoot. You got a guy. I mean, that could be a 2-guard at the next level, at the NCAA level. So that's
knockdown shooters. You can never have enough of them.
Correct.
So I think he's done a great job. Legends, I'm just sticking to their guys. 16s. These guys aren't risers. Jock Mitchell has been stud. I've given Jock Mitchell kudos, and he deserves it. He's just he no one can stay in front of that dude. Has a gear that no one very few people in America have the gears that he can get.
Correct. And I think that's the thing that stands out the most. He's obviously a great athlete, but
Yeah,
his motor is what college coaches are going to absolutely
yeah,
love. Every coach wants that.
yeah.
Not every coach is going to get that from a player. And he has it like in droves. Like
Yeah.
he goes.
Well, and he's one of those kids like where when he was coming out of middle school, even like, and even his freshman year, like everybody's always known that Jock Mitchell was dunking the way he is now in like the 6th and 7th grade. I remember people sending me videos of him in like the 6th grade, 7th grade, and I went out
Yeah,
there.
his name has been floating around for quite some time. I remember probably back about 22,
Yeah.
23 time period I was hearing
Yeah.
his name.
Yeah, but what happens with a lot of these guys with the superior athlete and their highlight dunkers is that that's what you pigeonhole them in.
Yeah.
Jock Mitchell got a lot more to his game
No,
than that.
oh, yeah.
His court vision and passing is
We
as
saw that
good.
during the state playoffs this year for sure.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
last year too, but yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have to score 20, 30 points a
Nope.
game, Jock. He affects the game in every statistical category,
Yep.
but it's his passing to me that separates him. His athleticism, what's got him to the room. That passing and court vision is what's going to take him to that next step up for him. So love him. Memphis Duffy, who was a catch and shoot guy
Yes.
primarily. I put it down. He's turned himself into a complete guard. He's really a big, strong, physical guard at his
Yep.
age. Obviously his dad is a football coach and
Yep.
been in the college game at the D1 level for many, many years. So you could see the toughness in him, and he's got a football body. And
Yes.
I just love everything I've seen from Memphis. Obviously, his teammate from Cassia Hall, Dallas Lowe. These
Yes.
are guys, not necessarily risers. They're just guys that are having a really good spring.
And they're guys that coaches need to know about so they can get on them and so they can get those opportunities and then get the best players they can from the state. That's why we do this.
Absolutely. So, then I get into the 17 legends. I was really impressed with some of their guys. I'll mention guys. It doesn't matter whether they're from Oklahoma or not. They play for an Oklahoma team.
Yep.
Frank Billaby from Colorado, who is like, to me, he's built like Kawhi Leonard in the body type he has. And he does some things that remind me of Kawhi. I don't know that he's quite the shooter at this point of his career that Kawhi was, but I feel like that's what Kawhi developed into.
Yes.
But as far as like defensively and versatility wise and like the look of his body, he kind of even reminds you of him. Not quite as big.
That San Antonio Kawhi, basically.
Yeah. I think he's a consistent, and he hit a bunch of threes in the game. It's not like he can't shoot.
Yeah.
But as that consistency comes up, I really think this kid's a special steal because you're talking about wingspan and hand size.
Yes. All that stuff matters. People don't realize that. That's why when the guys go to, let's say they have good college careers, they go to these combines. They're looking at the pause. They're looking at the wingspan. They're looking at the vertical jump.
Yep.
They're looking at their speed. They're looking at their footwork.
Yep.
All those things matter. But man, I'll tell you, having big hands and having a wingspan is something that God just gives you.
Some
kids have it and some kids don't.
Some things we just can't all have, unfortunately.
Exactly.
It is what it is. But a couple other guys for them, obviously Bryce Dixon out of the Colony in Dallas, another 6'4" guy, elite motor. When we talk about dogs, he's a dog. Like he's a two-way guy. You're talking about hand side. That kid's got some of the biggest hands I've seen, like as far as that stuff. So measurables are all there. He's continuing to get better on the offensive end. He's already one of the better defensive, two-way wings there is. And I think he's undervalued. He has a couple Division I offers. I think he should have quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Really like him. But the kid for them out of Oklahoma that I think has been an absolute stud is Julius Wilson from Owasso.
Yep.
I think there's not enough superlatives I could throw out there right now about Julius and how good he's played and at the level he's playing at right now.
Yep.
He is a winner, and I would bet his plus minus, I don't know it, is probably skyrocketing when he's in the game. He's 6'4". We already know he's a supreme athlete because he's Division I level wide receiver, but he's strong, he's humble, his work ethic is second to none. He could shoot it.
Yep.
He's
versatile. He's
Yeah,
really good athlete, and he's very versatile. He can do a lot of things well.
yes, and I know he had more of a complimentary role, obviously with Owasso, because he was in football for most. They were in the championship, so he didn't get to the basketball team till later. But this kid is a bona fide stud. He can
Yep.
run a team. He could be your number one option.
Yep.
And I expect him, if he's at Owasso again, to have next year to have a big role with them and carry some of the scoring
Yes.
load. But he's also a great playmaker, great defender. Love him. And then I'd have to give kudos to Deshaun Denson, because Deshaun is known as a lethal scorer, but they've moved him into primarily he's the starting point guard for them. So he can play point. I've seen him
good
do
for
it.
him, because I think looking at his size, I think they're putting him in something that's translatable to the next level for who he is.
Bingo, because he's scoring, he could do it from anywhere against anybody. That's never been anything that's not. But I've continued to say this over the last couple of years, and I put out a video about him, and I showed a little bit of it. Really good in the pick and roll. He's good at reading it, but obviously putting him on the ball at this level in the 17s and getting some bigger wings around him, and he's got some legitimate big guys. Cade Speckman is a really good one for them from Colorado, 6'9" guy, Division I kid. But I like the decision making, and I love that he's put an onus on the defensive end, because, like you said, at his size, he's got to prove he can guard those point guards, and I think he's done a hell of a job. So I want to give a shout out to Deshaun Denson, because
that's good. I think that's good, and I think that's also setting him up for the next level too, giving him that experience, exposing him to the requirements of the role that he's going to be asked to play at the next level, which is great. That's what it's all about for these guys.
Yep. And then quickly, because I'm gonna go fast, and we're gonna get into some of these other teams, another event. The 17 Southern Ties team, I wanted to hit on them. Obviously, Jaden Hopkins is doing Jaden Hopkins. Not a stock riser to me, because he's been there. He's been good. It's just him again. I love some of the stuff that he's worked on in the mid range. Some of his reverse pivot. I saw that move a few times. He's got this reverse pivot fall away jumper that's become kind of a go-to move. Athletically, we know he can hang with anybody in the country. Defensively, he's great. I just love some of the stuff he's doing, showing some growth in his game, which I expect, because I know he works really hard. Love that kid. I love what I've seen from Jance Alsup so far. Six kid from South Central. Love Jance.
Good kid too. Good kid. Good basketball player, but good kid. He came out and ran with us last year. Had some practices with us. He's a good player.
Jance really. I know Jance really well on
good kid.
So love some of the stuff that he's doing. Pick and pop. But he's got some really, really good post moves that not a lot of kids have. They don't have that touch with both hands. He's really crafty at shielding his body in there against bigger 6'9" guys, getting his shot off. I mean, he's really good at that. I love some of the stuff that he does. And then, their team goes where Nehemiah Lawrence takes them.
Yes,
the point guard from Allen, Texas. I mean. Nehemiah is not a big dude in stature, but he's strong as a bull, and he's got as high of a motor as you're ever going to find in anybody in the country. Yes, he's a defense to offense type guy. He gets the break started. He's pesky. He can defend guys much bigger than him, and hence why he has a Division I offer as well. So I love those guys. They're going to have a really good season. Last one, because I'm just going through that made hoops. The Southern Assault Texoma team, run by Coach Gossett from NLC Tonkawa. They have some of the best shooting ability of any of the teams I saw out there, and some dynamic guard play with Caden Leach from the champion Deer Creek 6A team, Braden Buckingham from Crossings.
You talk about a stock riser. I think Braden Buckingham over the last 12 months his stock has grown dramatically.
Immensely. He's gonna be next season. His senior year is gonna be he was one of the better players this season. But he's gonna be one of the best players in Oklahoma. He should statistically have a monster season next year.
You're right. Statistically, he'll take on more scoring load, because they had Cal and they had Cam. I think he's going to take over and do a lot of different things for them to help them be competitive this year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think he's
Coach
going to be
Shank
fun
is
to watch.
back. So Coach Shank is back. I know there was talk, but that he was maybe going to retire, but he's back. So I got all the confidence in the world in that Crossings Christian team.
Yeah, no, he's a top coach in Oklahoma. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
But they also got other guys like Chase Clark, who's from OK, who's a 6'2" kid. He's got multiple Division II offers.
Yep.
Chase is a great player. So they got some dynamic guards that can shoot the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I like them, and they had a big win in that tournament. So I like to see and follow those guys' success. We can't talk about every single team in this show, and we're going to have plenty of pods going forward. And we'll have some more time here as the off weekends are. So some other guys that I've watched throughout the last couple that I want to have on the stock risers list is Braylon Bradshaw, and he's playing for Pro Skills. He was at Millwood this last year. I think you might see him at Heritage Hall this upcoming season. We'll see, but he's about a 6'5", strong body kid that we've all known. He had some health stuff going into this year, so he wasn't able to play the whole season, but you can't tell that anymore. I mean, I was getting 3-4 calls an hour on him at this last the EYBL session 1 out in Phoenix or Mesa or wherever it was. I was getting calls about this kid, like, where did he come from?
Yeah, I was watching stuff on him. I've been kind of keeping up with him specifically. He's impressive. I think
because what he can do is he's versatile enough and strong enough, and he's got enough girth. He can go down low and play in the post, but he can step out and shoot threes, and he's athletic enough to go around you. He's kind of a la like a young Charles Barkley build, like that type of build. But he's got some game. And he's a great rebounder. He had like a 30-point double-double in that. He had another game, like 14 points.
Charles Barkley is a good comparison.
That is a good comparison. It's his body type. I mean, depending on how young you are, you might never see. The only Charles Barkley you may know is the one that's on.
Is the one on TNT that just makes a fool of himself and has fun.
That's the only one you might know. But contrary, that dude could
freaking play. Well, at one time, I mean, there was only one player on the face of the earth that was better than him. 1993, the Phoenix Suns, Bulls. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with saying there's one guy better than you on the face of the earth, and if that's him, then it's just okay.
I'm okay if you tell me there's a couple hundred, a couple thousand guys. But if I'm on a list, I'm happy.
Exactly.
Like people get too caught up in the number. If you're on a list, guess what? You're better than millions of other people out there.
You are in the top 10th of 1,000% of the human population.
I always say people are like, hey, I was ranked 30th. Like, that's bull crap. I'm like, you're ranked 30th out of like how many thousands of kids? Like, it's not really that bad. I don't even care.
Exactly.
I know you want to be higher. Everybody does, but that's not bad. If you're on a list, it ain't bad. So everybody can't be fortunate to be a top 5 kid in the country. So
gonna have to put more work in.
Yeah, I thought him and also Xavier Embro, who plays for Pro Skills as well, point guard from Heritage Hall, lefty. I've talked about him quite a few times. He's just such electric, cat-like quickness, and he's just a kid that can get a bucket whenever he wants.
Heritage Hall's going to have some players, man.
And they're going to have one we're going to talk about here in a minute. Incoming freshman Timothy Young, younger brother of Trey Young. He'll be at Heritage Hall too next year.
It's good.
He's definitely on the list of kids in that 14U, which, obviously we try to just do 15, 16s, and 17s. Yeah. But for high school purposes, those are the incoming freshmen. Yep. So
up-and-comers. He's going to be an up-and-comer. Next year, you're talking about him now. I mean,
Yep.
Going to be there.
Completely different player than his brother in a sense, but has a lot of tools. And he's going to be a good player. He's already doing some things. I mean, he's a naturally gifted scorer, but he has good court vision and he's got some good size. I mean, he's probably close to his brother right now in height. He might be passing him up already in height. So
my thing is, it's a little unfair when you have a guy that's like an all NBA, special generational talent. So
but the thing is. And Ray, his father, like whenever I speak to Tim is in his own lane. You don't need to compare. His brother his brother was his brother, and his brother's one of the best basketball players that ever lived. I mean,
Yep.
you can call it what you want. He is that.
Yep.
He's one of the best basketball players that ever lived, Trae Young.
Yep.
And if you don't believe it, go look at the statistics, and then look how hard it is to do that at his size.
Well, just watch him play, for God's sakes. I mean, his skill set is beyond what most human beings. You can't even imagine half the things he does, and he still does them. So
no. But Timothy Young will carve out his own path, and he will be, like I always say, he will be the best version of Timothy Young.
Good.
It's not about his, and I think he's got the right people around him, and obviously he's got to work and keep working, and everybody's got to. These guys are young, but he has ability. But he's got some guys on his team. Deacon Holly's another kid in that's on his team in AAU that's going to be a stud in this state. And I mean, there's some guys in that class. Jax Wilkerson, is a specimen at his size. I mean, he's pushing he's probably 250, 260 at that age.
That's a big kid.
6'5", 6'6", whatever
at
he
that
is.
age.
Yeah, and he's nimble, and he's got great touch. Like, kids like him are going to be, and his father,
huge.
And his father passed away, but his father played for the Bears for years and was
huge upside. 6'5", 230, 250. That's a body that I mean, that's a professional body.
Professional DNA inside of him. His dad was one of the better defensive linemen, that played in his era. So it's going to be great to see that young man just continue to develop, and I really pull for him and think he's going to be really something special. So, we're hitting all over the place with the young guys. Obviously, I'm going to talk about him and his guys that play for your kid that plays for your team in Colton Brammer. I don't call him a riser because I think Colton Brammer's been good. And if anybody, you and I have been speaking about him well before he ever played for you. We were talking about him last year that we thought he probably should have had a bigger role for his summer team last year. But
I agree.
But that kid is been all over the place and doing everything at a high level. I've seen his name plastered on more things than you can imagine, but it doesn't surprise me because I know what Colton Brammer is, and I know that he works as hard as anybody on his game.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, you can probably talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, no, he does a fantastic job. What I really like about him is his quiet confidence. He's a quiet kid, but he's prepared. He's consistent. He, like you say, he puts the work in. He leads by example. He's not going to talk, and he's not one of those guys. He's not loud and in your face type. He's just gonna beat you. He can get to any spot on the floor that he wants. He can go right hand, left hand. He's strong. He shoots the ball from distance, got a good floater, can finish at the rim. He's got a complete game. And what I love about him is you don't rattle him. He doesn't get rattled even if the game isn't going his way or the team isn't, doing well for a stretch. You always have those moments. He's consistent. But he's super talented. And I think he'll have opportunities to play at the NCAA level for sure. It just depending on what the needs are. In I'd say in the regional area where he gets offers, but he's going to get some good offers, and I'm excited for him because he is really talented and he helps us win. So he's pretty solid. I've got a lot of guys like that, but he's really good.
Yeah, and then obviously, a guy, we could probably call him a riser. I talked about him in the regular season. I know Corbin Dow, a kid that has great positional size. Obviously, younger brother of Corbin, who's now at Earl Roberts, went to Oklahoma State, had a great career at Broken Arrow. Little brother got some little bit of hops in his game though.
Yes, he does.
And not that Connor didn't, because Connor has some dunks in his day, but little brother is on another level when it
Hey,
comes to the
let me
athleticism.
just say this. Corbin Dow, remember the name. The kid is an athlete.
Yeah,
People don't talk about him. I bet you right now, I would say this right now, and I
yeah,
can say this
yeah,
without reservation. I bet if you put him in a long jump or a high jump competition in track, he
yeah,
would be one of the better ones in the state. And his motor, you talk about motors,
yeah,
that kid's motor is nonstop.
yeah,
He checks a lot of boxes. I
yeah.
just the
I
coaches are going to be high on him. I know some NCAA coaches are already talking to him and have
yeah.
interest in him. He's going to be somebody that'll just continue to
I,
kind of
I remember at the Broken Arrow came to Edmond Santa Fe for like one of those preseason Wolf Den scrimmages, and
yeah
I was raving about him. I saw. I had seen him. Obviously, I've seen him since he was little, but I just saw number one, growth. Literally, he grew in
yeah.
height, but just growth in his game. And I was telling he's taken some strides. I think obviously he's going to have a great spring and summer, but I think his senior season,
Yes,
everybody will know his name that doesn't currently know who he
totally
is.
totally agree. Totally
I,
agree.
I, and I think he's on that list. Obviously, you've got another guy that's probably under the radar in Gunnar Starnes that
Yep.
maybe not a lot of people know.
Totally
This guy's
agree with that, Chris.
yeah,
He's 6'6". He's a utility belt. I mean, it's like a utility knife, rather. He
yeah,
can shoot the three. He's
yeah,
got good size and length. He can guard a lot of positions on the floor.
yeah,
Um, Offensively, he can get his shot off. He's good at the mid range. He can pull up. He can shoot the three. He can get in the block. He can do a lot of things. He's going to be somebody that I think a lot of coaches are going to be interested in, fall in the spring and summer as well.
yeah. And I know we're trying to talk risers, so but
Yeah,
like Destin Edwards, obviously, like he to me,
everybody
Destin's
knows
been
D.
Yeah,
Everybody
Destin's
knows D.
been like that. He's got some of the best ball skills in Oklahoma. It doesn't
Yep,
matter what level or class or
correct.
whatever. He's a
Correct.
legitimate point guard
Yes.
who can run a team. He can do it. He can literally do a little bit of everything, and he does it well.
Yep.
So shooting, passing, he's next level on some of that stuff. But I think that putting him alongside of Brammer gives them kind of a dynamic backcourt that
I would say we have one of the best backcourts in Oklahoma for spring and summer. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I'm not reserved in
yeah,
saying that. I
yeah.
think there's other kids that are good
Yeah.
too. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
no doubt.
But
We're going to talk about it, but we're trying to talk about kids.
all of
This is
them.
the one thing about this show, and again, we talk about it all the time. We're not just trying to talk about one circuit.
Correct.
We're not here to talk about one. You guys might play on Next Pro, but you will talk about kids that play on any circuit at
Bingo.
any school. Does not matter to us. We will
Yep.
talk about if you can play. We want to talk about you. It's what we talk about a million times. It's what the Okie Ball platform's for. That's what the Flagrant 2 is about, is getting kids the shine, not
Correct.
us kids, so
Correct.
that coaches can hopefully listen in and say, you know what? Maybe I'll go check out this kid, or maybe I'm going to
Correct.
call Chris, or I'm going to call Ernie, and I'm just going to find out some information about this kid I heard because I never heard about him before.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all we want to.
That's exactly why we do this. It's
helps
not
one
about us.
kid. I
Yes.
tell people all the time, if it helps one kid,
Yep.
we did our job. That's let alone, trust me, there's many more kids being helped than one.
Yep.
I can
For sure.
got receipts, but
Mhm.
anyways, and we never take credit for these kids because it's absolutely the work.
They put the work in. They put the work in.
We just trying to get their name out there in the lights. Just
Yep.
hey, coach, come check this guy. Come check this guy. You're gonna like what you see. I promise you.
Yep.
So another team I've loved and I've been extremely impressed with them has been the 16 Wolfpack, Oklahoma Wolfpack team. I love them. I love this team, and I love. I'm gonna mention two kids specifically that I like on that team, and I've already have mentioned this kid, and no relation to you, Bo Barber out of UConn High School.
None that I'm aware of.
Though people would say maybe he does. I mean,
maybe so. I need to maybe have a conversation with Bo. We'll ask some family.
They're like, I know Ernie and Evan had games, so maybe they're related to Bo.
Could run in the genes, man. Could run in the genes.
I don't know. That's where it gets thrown out because he's about 6'7".
Yeah.
So, but what I like about him is, and I tell this to people is, we a lot of times we see 6'6" kids, 6'7" kids. They're not guards. This kid is like a legitimate guard.
Yes.
Like he can play.
He moves.
he can move, he can shoot, he can dribble. Like he's literally like, I mean, you could play him in the three. He could play the 2 or 3 position at the next level. But you want to talk about a high riser? This kid could fly. Like
Yeah.
I watched him in a game, and I mean, he took off from like inside the free throw line, and I was like, and then he was out there hit 5, 6 threes in a row.
Yeah.
I really like him. UConn has a gem in him,
Yep.
and I know, and I know that they're going to even be better this next season. But this kid can stat stuff. I mean, I know. I remember a game, and I watched it last year.
At the high school level, he can take over games.
Yeah, he almost had a triple double with blocks. I remember a game he had like 10 points, but he had like 14 rebounds, and I want to say 9 blocks.
9 blocks. I remember that. Yeah.
And it's like, if he can continue to do some stuff like that, he's gonna jump out. They got another kid that plays. I want to say he plays for. He played at a home school this year, like Oklahoma. He might have been Storm. Matt Mason, and I think he's headed to Oklahoma Christian Academy to join Carter Coleman this next year. But Matt Mason is an under the radar guard.
See, I don't understand. I don't understand that. I understand. I'll bring this up while you mentioned that. Yeah. Why don't those kids? And I know that coaching and schools and education, there's a lot more to this. But why do they go there when they can go play the best players? Yeah. I'm not saying that there aren't good players there, but I would want to.
It's tough on a night in, night basis. You're not seeing enough kids that match your level. Correct. But I will say, in Carter's case, you're on an EYBL team with some nationally ranked guys. You can show it in the summer, but I mean, I tend to agree with that. I mean, I've had conversations. I agree with that, but you never know. You never know.
I mean, everybody has. It could be education wise. There could be a lot of reasons why.
Yes,
I get that.
But back to Matt Mason, like he's a physical 6'2" guard. He's athletic. He's a really under the radar kid that I think a lot of people are going to know him this year as he gets into at least an OSSAA school that people can follow. I like him. And then they got a couple other guys. Riley Sneller, that goes to Mustang, who's a 3-point sniper. I like him a lot. I really like that team. That 27 Wolfpack team. The only kid they lost was Ryland Sykes from Crossings, who went to Legends. Otherwise, they might have been one of the best teams in next.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is that continuity. When you have guys that play together for a period of time, you can't create that. Just you have. That's an organic thing that happens.
Hands out, those kids are definitely loyal because I'm gonna say it right now, Bo Barber could be on
any team he wanted.
TSU teams that he wanted in Oklahoma, and he should be. But I have respect both ways for that because I understand that he's riding with the guys he's played with and he's being loyal to that program. I really can't go against a kid for that. Correct. I understand it, and he'll have his chances. So
and not everybody likes the shoe circuit feel either. I mean, it just depends on what you prefer and what's good for you. And he's the number one guy. I mean, come on, let's call it what it is. On that team, he's got good players around him, good teammates. But I mean, he can showcase, and he's going to be on the floor a lot, which is what it's about.
Absolutely. And then jumping around, because we haven't talked about an Under Arbor team, I wanted to throw out I-4, who's ran by Osopo guy, Tyson's dad. Obviously, he runs a great organization that do some great things for the kids. I'm gonna hit on their 15U squad. They got a kid, and I posted about him a couple weeks back, that I call Baby Jokic and Breck Brady, who, if you haven't seen Breck Brady, he's about 6'6" and he's about 270.
Said to me that he thinks he might be the best player in that class. He said that this kid could end up being a professional athlete. So,
well, he's going to be a professional athlete. He's just going to be, in my opinion, he's going to be a football player.
Maybe so.
He's going to be an NFL player one day, and that is also family tree genetics. His father, Ricky Brady, is the last player, I think, that at OU that played Division I football and basketball. I remember
Ricky. Yeah, Ricky's maybe a few years older than me, or right around my age.
What was he like? Was he like PC West or something? Was it PC school that he played for?
One of the Putnam seasons.
But anyways, to play Division I at that level, basketball and football, we know, we've talked about it on this program before, like very few guys have ever done that. His dad did that.
It's
But Brett
increasingly
Brady,
more difficult too
but
nowadays.
when I talk about Brett Brady and where he could say that is, I could understand that is like you really can't stop him. Like at his size
No,
and his ability, like there's nobody that's going to be able to stop that kid. He's too strong. I mean, I
totally.
mean, he. I chatted with him for a bit. Like he makes me look tiny, and I'm not a small guy. Like he makes me look like a tiny person. Like he's a huge kid, and it's not just height. This kid is
Yeah,
big.
he's
Like
big. He's
and he's
big.
strong. He's got massive hands. He's soft hands. He's nimble. He could shoot, but his passing ability, that's why I call him Baby Jokic. Passing ability is off the charts. This kid is a special kid in that 2028 class that you have heard nobody talk about
Nope.
unless you pay attention to the platform.
Yep.
You know this kid can go. I love him. TJ Newton is a kid that goes to Edmond Santa Fe. That's one of their guards for them. He's a dynamic scorer, can get anywhere on the court. The development of TJ Newton over the next 12 months, I'm really looking forward to seeing him step up and be the man, possibly at Edmond Santa Fe as soon as this season under
Yeah.
Coach Terry Evans. We'll see if Coach Evans can get it out of him. And TJ Newton's a name people need to know. He's a definite stock riser. He's been a standout on every tournament I've been. He's really stood out and showed me some things. Love that kid.
Initially, it was talk that Coleman would go and play with him this year because he's kind of played with him over the last
Yes,
couple of years.
yes,
And also told me, I mean, with Carter being in there, he's going to end up being a national recruit that projects really well. He'll end up probably being 6'10", 6'11" before it's all said and done. But also
yes.
was talking about this other kid that he said, hey, Ernie, I've got another kid that nobody knows about that may be even better than Carter, right? And so
Yeah.
that's saying something, especially
No,
at that age group.
absolutely. I mean, I think that to even say that is that's some big shoes to
And
fill when you're
nothing
talking.
against Carter, because Carter's going to end up being a national recruit, but that's
Yes.
a lot about this kid, this young man, and what
Yeah.
he brings to the table.
And I know there's a bunch of kids I want to get to, and I want to just throw out one more from his team, and this is a kid that I think is an under the radar kid, Josh Dockham, 6'4" out of Edmond Memorial. Love his game.
Yeah.
This is a kid you're going to know. I promise you, after his sophomore season at Edmond Memorial, next season everybody's going to know who he is. He can hoop. There's nothing he doesn't do well. Shoots it well. Can defend. Versatile. He's a kid, and I know Edmond Memorial's had a couple guards leave and transfer, so I think he's prime if he's there to have a big season for Edmond Memorial. Look forward to that. And Edmond Memorial's had some good guards over there last
Yes, they have.
10 years.
Padula
So
being one, right?
one that's probably going to have a chance at the NBA here
Yep.
soon enough.
Good for him.
Josh Dockham's another one. They got quite a bit of kids I like. They got another big kid out of Newcastle, Owen Wright. He hasn't played yet. He's been hurt. 6'7", 6'8". I think he's going to have a chance too. So
That's
I just
huge.
wanted to do those guys. The last team I have written down for right here, and I wanted to shout out a couple of their guys. Houston Hoops out of Oklahoma. And this kid has been playing out of his mind. Phoenix Woodson's little brother, Josh Woodson, has been playing excellent. Every time I've seen him, he's been a standout. And I seen they just traveled somewhere. They were playing over in Arizona or something at a Made Hoops, and I saw all kinds of people mentioning Josh. Different than his brother because he's a guard. If he gets that growth spurt like Phoenix did, he's going to be scary good because he's a legitimate PG right now. So obviously not as big, but he's got some good size. He's been playing really well for their 15s, and then obviously a kid that they have on their 17s that I love, Zio Kabogba out of John Marshall, which I have talked about him a number of times. He's one of my favorite players. He's one of my most under radar guys in that 2026 class. I love him.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
Any college coach that I can talk to in Oklahoma and beyond, I'm going to praise Zio. I think he's a bona fide stud.
Yeah,
so
I think he is too.
I love him, and I like giving shout outs to different teams. I mean, it is what it is. We got to talk about all these guys. Obviously, I haven't got to see some teams. I'm hoping to catch. I'll
say a couple too that I think are doing a really good job this early in the season. Team Oklahoma's done a really good job on the Next Pro circuit.
They got some guards.
Yeah, they got some guards, and I'll say this. I'll say Hudson Height, obviously, I think is is the top of the class on that squad. I think they've got some really good players.
DJ
Jack
Padula.
Sheriff is another one that I really, really like. He's really strong, plays well. He's a good player. But Hudson's been a huge for them. I mean,
and that started in the regular season with him. That elevation, off the charts with him and what he was doing at Piedmont. But I think that it's good that you brought them up, because you want to talk about a team loaded with guards. Then
yes.
DJ Padula has been really good for them. Former Edmond Memorial, younger brother of Sean that you just mentioned, is going to Mount St. Mary's now. Jet Mugenberg from OKG. Like, they got some guys that can hoop. So I'm glad you mentioned them. I haven't got to watch Chaos yet. I know D'Angelo will always have some guys. They might be playing at a tournament I'm going to this weekend. I got to look.
Drew Reynolds plays for them.
And I love Drew.
And Drew's a great kid, good shooter.
Drew's going to Mustang.
Yes.
So I had put that out on X.
He's a good player.
He's a really good player. Had Drew at my showcase. Love him. Love Drew. Drew is an under the radar kid in that class and can flat out get it done.
Yep, he can shoot the basketball now. I'm going to tell you right now. He's quietly one of the guys that you don't want to leave open in that class.
Absolutely.
Good shooter.
Gifted scorer, getting better too, by the way.
Exactly.
Thing in here. But love him. So I haven't gotten to watch them yet, but I know that they have I think they have a Tulsa-based team as well, because I know Trey Bruner is a kid out of East Central that I love, a smaller guard. He had a great season for East Central, catalyst for them. He's had a big spring and summer, and I expect him. I love Trey, really good kid, comes from a good family.
Last one I'll say too. I'll say this, and it's just it's a plug for one of my guys, Chris, is Aiden Sequeras, the kid last weekend. You talk about under the radar. I think he's under the radar. Super. His footwork is amazing. Great touch around the rim. Good big body and can handle the basketball. I mean, it's you don't see it very often. Great vision.
Shawnee High School.
Yes, out of Shawnee High School. I'm telling you, coaches need to pay attention to this kid. This kid is he has some skills that are God-given. And
let me tell you this. He was on my standout list at the Dell City scrimmages preseason. And he honestly, he might have been the best player in the entire thing. I'm not saying best player at stature and who they are, but that day or that weekend, that kid dominated in there, and it was not just in the post. He was able to handle the ball, go around people.
He can handle. I'm telling you, if you're a 6'4", 6'5" guy having to guard him on the perimeter, you're
load. Kid's strong.
Yes.
I mean, I seen it. That kid was instantly on that standout list, so I know all too well.
I just want to throw his name out there because not a lot of people know about him, but certainly coaches need to know his name and start watching him play. So
no, absolutely, and trust me, I know we're going to miss some guys.
Sure.
Brody Parks, I mentioned, he was on that Oklahoma Wolfpack team. I love him out of Bishop McGinnis. He's a kid to me that's primed for a monster school season next year. I think he's going to be one of the top scorers in. I guess they're 4A now.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
They were
4A last year, but McGinnis is 4A. I think Brody Parks might be one of the leading scorers in the state in 4A.
Yeah,
so I expect him to be a monster season with him. Really like that kid a lot. His ceiling is really high. He's got great size. So there's a lot of teams. I'm sure that we've missed a few.
We'll catch them for the live period, though. We'll do some more episodes where we'll talk about guys coming up for the live period and following the live period.
I've just seen so many games that it's like we're trying to cram this all in over the last month. I mean, I didn't even get into talking about the guys at MoCan, which I deem them MoCan Lahoma now is what I call them, by the way. They're not just MoCan, they're MoCan Lahoma.
And they're not under the radar either, so I think everybody knows.
None of those kids are under the radar. But I did want to shout out Isaiah Wilkes because I thought that he's just taken his game, and he has been just continuing to elevate his game. Jalen Montnati, he does what he does, and then Bowden Williams and Amari Barrett too. But But that's why they're Mocan-Lahoma, because when you have 4 guys that
Yep.
play a big part for your team, that's pretty crazy
Yep.
out of state. But that just shows our state's talent and
Correct.
what we got. People want our kids. So
Yeah.
I think that's a compliment to those guys. And Mocan is a great program.
Great for the state. It's
Yeah.
great for the state.
And there's guys sprinkled at Phoenix, Woodson. Yeah, like
Yep.
these guys aren't under the radar.
Well, Phoenix at the circuit a few weeks back, 2 weeks,
Yep.
3 weeks ago.
Yep, and he's continued to do exactly what he's done.
Yep.
We didn't even talk about 3 SSB guys, which is Parker McDaniels
Yes.
for the 15 Southern Assault, Bo Billingsley. I've heard nothing but great things out of Bo Billingsley.
Bo's a special player. He's good. He's really good.
Kason Robinson for Southern Assault.
Mhm.
So from Deer Creek, great positional size at like 6'6".
And healthy now too, since he came back from last year, won state title, got a gold ball, and now is back on the floor making an impact. So it's good.
I think you haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg with Kason Robinson.
I agree.
I think that's to come. I think that's to come in his senior season. So, so many guys. By the way, younger brother could hoop. Braylon Robinson can flat out play. He was playing in that Made Hoops event, and everybody was like, "Who's that kid?" The kid wasn't missing from 3. That kid can light it up. He's going to be an incoming freshman. Well, I'll let them tell you. Hey, on the next episode,
we'll let them.
Or I might drop an Okie bomb, which by the way, the Okie bomb merchandise is coming as soon as I can get it printed up and get sent here. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I've never received more messages than I have for the Okie bomb stuff. People loving it. So
Nice.
I'm gonna try to get that out there to you guys, and I think you guys are gonna like the stuff that I've got coming for merchandise wise for that stuff.
Good.
But we'll hop back on here. We're going to try to do them more frequent than we've been. It's been hectic. So I'm trying to I think my schedule is good enough for myself. I know obviously now you're busy on the weekends, so we've got to figure it out.
Yeah.
But we'll make it work. We're going to try to get one out at least every other week if we can.
Yep.
Right now, I know it's been about 3.5 weeks or so since we've done one. And we want to be more frequent with it, but schedule's got to line up, and we just been really busy.
Bottom line is doing them and getting the word out on players. That's the bottom line.
Portal season crushes me. Like I've had a whirlwind traveling like I was. I get back for the state playoff, and then it's portal season. Portal season is now over for me.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to just kind of focus on what I love, and that's the grassroots basketball. So I think we'll be able to get some more stuff out. If you're not following the Flagrant 2 on all platforms, please follow Instagram, YouTube, get our YouTube numbers up. If you're not following Coach Barber on Instagram, look for Coach Rogue. Look for Coach Ernie Barber on any platform. If you're not following Okie Ball, you should be on every platform. In my humble opinion, it's the best basketball platform in the USA and maybe the world, but that's just my opinion.
Love it.
You could think what you want. And if you haven't been over to the Okie Ball Instagram lately, you got to check it out. It's brand new. It's all formatted. People are loving it. I'm getting people calling me from other places. And they're big time people wanting to collaborate. So I appreciate the love. We always appreciate you guys tuning in to our show. Peace, Oklahoma. Till next time.